On the day of my mother's funeral, my father got married again. Dad said, accept the marriage or empty the house. So I left, sold my house, blocked all their accounts and sent him a special picture. In that picture, I had some papers. 1 month later, when I saw them on a news channel because, my name is Ella and at 17 I'm the sole child of my parents who have always shown me nothing but love and affection. Growing up, I believed I was the luckiest child alive, but that perception was challenged during one particular incident in the 8th grade. One afternoon, as I left school, a strikingly vibrant woman was waiting by the gate. She caught my attention with a loud call. "You must be Ella, right?" I froze, unable to respond immediately. Back in my one-stone year of elementary school, a teacher had drilled into us 3 key phrases meant to keep us safe. Don't go, don't ride, shout, run away and inform. These words were my first lesson in self-protection, etched into my memory. "Oh, did I scare you? It's all right. I'm a friend of your dad, Ella," the woman said cheerfully. Her appearance was flamboyant with blonde hair and oversized sunglasses, and she wore a broad grin. Despite her reassurances, I was skeptical. I had seen enough TV dramas to know that those who insist they are harmless often aren't. "I know it's you, Ella, because look." She rummaged through her gaudily decorated bag and pulled out a smartphone. Its case as flashy as her purse. Her long ornate nails seemed impractical for daily tasks. She turned the phone towards me, showing a photo of me with my parents at my first communion. The same photo I used as wallpaper on my own phone. How did she have it? Surprised and uneasy, I listened as she continued, wondering why I have this. "It's not strange at all. Your dad gave it to me." She laughed heartily before introducing herself as John, and then left abruptly with a peculiar message for me to relay to my mom about giving her dad quickly. At home, I saw my mom's welcoming face and decided to keep silent. On the surface, life continued as usual. My dad remained the kind, family-oriented man he always was, still chasing his dream of becoming a fashion designer. Yet, a heavy cold lump settled in my heart, a silent witness to the unresolved tension. I transitioned from elementary to middle school, my parents acting as if nothing had happened, even posing for photos with me at school events. To outsiders, we were a perfectly normal family. However, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was amiss. As time passed, shortly after starting middle school, my mom fell ill with a serious condition that threatened to cut her life short. "It's not a lie, Ella. I won't be around much longer," she told me with a faint smile. Through all this, I've kept my worries to myself, hoping against hope that the incident with John was just a misunderstanding or a cruel joke. But the doubt and the secrecy weighed heavily on me, shaping my young life in ways I never expected. "Ella, there's something important I need to discuss with you. I have a feeling that after I'm no longer here, things might get tough for you. To ensure you can stand on your own, I'll do everything in my power to prepare you. Mom made it clear that you need to be able to live independently. It seems she doesn't envision a future where you're living with Dad or just the two of us. Perhaps she senses something. I always suspected as much, yet found myself unable to ask her directly. It seemed like Mom thought I was aware, but chose not to discuss it explicitly. When the time comes, you may face challenges that you dislike, but I hope you understand that everything I do is for your sake." I simply responded, "Yeah, I understand." Mom seemed pleased with my answer, gave me a tight hug and expressed her gratitude. Afterward, we didn't talk much about it. We continued living as if everything was normal, just the 4 of us. The only change was that Mom gradually became weaker, often going to the hospital until one day she couldn't return home. During this time, Dad was a constant presence by her side. He rushed to visit her after work, and would often come home early to cook and manage the household, always ensuring that everything was taken care of. To anyone looking on, Dad was the perfect husband and father. However, something in his demeanor seemed forced. "I made soup. How does it taste?" he would ask. "It's delicious," I would reply. "You're a great cook, but I miss Mom's cooking. I hope she can cook for us again soon." We played our roles within the family, maintaining a facade. I sensed that both Mom and I knew it was just an act, but we went along with it, trying to keep her final days peaceful. That's how we spend our time, simply passing the days and pretending. For years later, when I was in my 3rd year of middle school, Mom passed away. Losing her was profoundly heartbreaking, a pain only understood by those who have experienced such a loss. At the wake and funeral, Dad played the grieving husband flawlessly, his tears mirroring mine yet feeling hollow. The attendees expressed their condolences, crying for the bereaved father and daughter. Alone after the services, many advised me to stay strong alongside Dad. However, Mom and I had made a promise. I needed to forge my own path. As expected, Dad's presence at home dwindled. "Dad's busy with work," he would say, justifying his absence. "You're big enough to manage on your own now," leaving me to face most days by myself. It was tough, tougher than I anticipated. I had hoped that maybe Dad would show more concern for me after Mom's passing, but that was not to be. At 15, caught between being an adult and a child, I gradually adapted to the solitude. Then, 1 month after Mom's memorial service, something unexpected happened. It was a quiet Saturday at home when suddenly the noise outside caught my attention. "First, clear out all unnecessary items, then we'll organize the rest." Dad directed a group outside. Confused, I asked, "What's happening? Why are you moving Mom's things?" To my dismay, workers began removing Mom's belongings. "No, don't take those away," I protested, blocking the doorway. "They were just movers, doing their job on Dad's orders. Mom's not here to use these anymore, so I'm having them removed." Dad explained nonchalantly, seeming almost to relish the upheaval. Desperately I resisted, sprawled across the entrance to prevent them from taking anything. What are you planning to do with these things? I demanded. Items that can be sold will be sold. The rest will be discarded, Dad declared, his tone detached as he watched the scene unfold. My father spoke as though he intended to take away something precious. Those items were my mother's bridal trousseau crafted by my wealthy maternal grandparents. The trousseau was not just valuable but held deep sentimental worth. Currently the movers were attempting to take it, prompted by my father's instructions. I protested to the movers, explaining that the trousseau was handmade by my grandmother for my mother's wedding. It was a part of our family heritage. Just as I was explaining, an intrigued voice chimed in from behind. It was John. She brushed past me to inspect the trousseau, commenting on its vintage quality and declaring she would use it. Despite my pleas, the movers continued until John instructed them otherwise, and my father then ordered the items returned. Curious about her authority, I questioned my father, who introduced John as his new wife Ella, and thus my new stepmother. I was taken aback and resistant to accept her. My father smirked and threatened that if I couldn't accept her I might as well leave since I was just a child and couldn't live on my own. This was too much. John, pretending to be offended, demanded an apology to stay in the house, but I firmly refused to live with her. In response to my stance, my father shockingly suggested that if I couldn't accept Ella I should leave. Accepting his challenge, I calmly agreed, surprising both him and John. I went to my room to pack, although there wasn't much left as I had moved most of my important belongings to another location beforehand. I gathered the last of my things and bid them farewell, declaring that from then on, we were strangers. I left the house and took a taxi to my grandparents' house in the suburbs, where I was warmly welcomed. My grandparents expressed their disappointment with my father's deceit, but were relieved I was with them now. Reflecting on the past, I appreciated everything my mother had done. She had prepared me for independence, teaching me household skills and cooking from a young age. Despite her passing and my father's absence, I managed well on my own thanks to her teachings. A month after leaving, my father tried to contact me repeatedly, but I ignored his calls, knowing his attempts to reach out were likely self-serving. This new chapter of my life, though bittersweet, was a testament to my mother's foresight and love. I turned off my phone and left it behind in my room before heading to school. Even after coming back home, I didn't immediately check it. It was only later that night, after a relaxing bath and just before bed, that I picked up my phone again. To my surprise, I found an overwhelming 100 missed calls. My phone had been ringing off the hook, lighting up with each call despite being on silent. When I finally answered, an irate voice burst through. "Hello Ella, why didn't you pick up sooner? Do you have any idea how many times I've called?" It was incredibly rude and abrupt. I chose not to respond. The voice continued, "Hello Ella? Can you hear me? Why are you silent?" I remained quiet. Then, with a hint of realization, the voice softened slightly. "Ella, it's Dad. You haven't forgotten my voice, have you?" I wish I could forget, I thought to myself, but aloud I remained silent. "Ella, help me. I'm in trouble. You wouldn't turn away from your own father, would you?" His pleading tone was almost sickening. I replied calmly, "I don't have a father, remembers?" There was a pause before he persisted. "It's me, your dad. Can't you help me?" "Ella, think of your family. As I've said before, you're mistaken. Please double-check the number you're dialing," I retorted before hanging up and turning off my phone, deciding that I wouldn't let the man who used to be my father disturb my peace again. The very next day, after I'd stopped responding, my father and his partner John appeared uninvited at my grandparents' home. They were demanding and aggressive. "Let us see Ella. You must have poisoned her against us. Send her home immediately," they insisted. But my mother, before her passing, had transferred the ownership of her properties, including our family home, to me, a home originally gifted to her by my grandparents upon her marriage. Aware of her terminal illness, she acted swiftly and legally, paying all necessary taxes, but not informing my father. Believing he still had rights over the property, my father was in a state of panic. I consulted with my guardian, who is also my lawyer, and we issued an eviction notice. The notice clearly stated that he had 1 month to vacate the premises or face legal action. It also mentioned that all household belongings, which I had documented, belonged to me, and any damages would be met with claims for compensation. About 10 days later, my father responded with a will purportedly from my mother, claiming all her assets were left to him. However, this was an outdated will, written shortly after her diagnosis. In contrast, my mother had prepared a newer, dated will the day before she passed, leaving everything to me, and had entrusted me to my grandparents' care, ensuring that my father would not have custody. We responded his claims with the fact that the newer will rendered the previous one invalid, despite his attempts to challenge this. It was clear that my mother's final wishes were for me to inherit everything, and for him to have no part in my life. Days after our firm response, a lawyer representing my father reached out, claiming a misunderstanding and pleading for a meeting. But by then, it was too late for any reconciliation. What happened was this: my father had concealed the fact that I had a sister, John, from our lawyer. He claimed that I had quietly moved to my grandparents' home and was no longer in contact. During his visit to my grandparents, he alleged that they had called the police and denied him any visitation, saying he feared I was being held against my will. Desperate, he pleaded, emphasizing that I was still underage, and that he couldn't fathom my decision to be adopted by my grandfather without his permission. He suspected my grandparents had misled me, and I had believed their deceit. "He is my cherished daughter, the only child my wife left behind. Please help me get her back, he implored. Observing my father recount his worries with tears was challenging for the lawyer. He remarked on the confusion I must be feeling after losing my mother, noting that my father too had lost his beloved and wasn't there for me as he should have been. This might be the reason for his emotional display, but I couldn't help but wonder about his dramatics, given his past aspirations to become a fashion designer. I recalled a moment at my mother's deathbed where she had asked my father to look after me, a scene he solemnly agreed to hand in hand. My grandparents, initially skeptical of my father, were visibly moved by his display of emotion. However, I felt detached, witnessing no genuine warmth in that gesture. During a meeting with the lawyer, I presented a recording from the day movers came to our house, which exposed my father's true demeanor. His facade of concern for my mother and me crumbled as the lawyer listened. It was evident my father had been performing all along. Apologizing for the misunderstanding, the lawyer later informed me that he had refused my father's request and billed him for breach of contract due to lying about the circumstances surrounding my situation. The deeper truth stemmed from my mother's past. As a young teenager, she had fallen for my father, then a budding fashion designer in a small theater group. Despite their age difference and his unsteady career, they eventually married under the stipulation from my grandparents that my mother's surname be retained, due to her position as the sole daughter of a prominent business magnate. After marrying, my father ceased acting and joined a company affiliated with my grandfather's business. This did little to earn my grandfather's trust. However, his true colors showed clearly over time. I might have continued to believe he was a wonderful father if not for uncovering his affair with John, a nightclub worker who mistakenly believed she could usurp my mother's place. The reality was harsh. My mother had received a letter meant for my grandparents after her death, revealing her growing suspicions about my father's fidelity. Despite once adoring him, her intuition led her to uncover his deceit and multiple affairs. Though she discovered people saying he was only with her for her wealth, she held on to hope for a happy family life after my birth. Yet as I learned the truth, it became clear that the man I thought was a caring father was merely a skilled fashion designer, concealing his true motives and infidelities behind a mask of familial devotion. They had reached a point where they had nothing left to lose or give. Their resignation to their grim prospects was palpable, yet I was prepared to take legal action, and they were well aware of my stance. The day I met John, a little girl, marked a turning point. She had tried to coerce my mother into leaving by making her presence known, a move that could be construed as a deliberate interference with custody. In legal terms, it is feasible to seek compensation from a mistress who attempts to separate a parent from their young child. John denied any such intentions, but a private investigator I had hired managed to record the incident on video. She pleaded for mercy, imploring me not to pursue legal action, but my resolve was firm. The ensuing lawsuit exposed John's misconduct publicly, leading to her dismissal from the club where she had been a source of several issues. This club, known for its prestigious standing, prioritized its reputation highly, and could not risk associating with someone like John. When faced with the choice, they asked her to resign. John even threatened to sue me for defamation, but I dismissed her threats, unbothered by the prospect of a lawsuit. Ultimately, she refrained from suing and left the club, severely limiting her future employment prospects in high-end venues. The lawsuit is still underway. Winning might not bring significant financial gain, but vindication is my primary goal. I refuse to let them off easily. My determination is unwavering. Meanwhile, my father's professional life crumbled. He had secured his position at his company through nepotism via my grandfather's influence and his status as a son-in-law, shielded from criticism regardless of his actions. However, the scandal being ousted from his home by his daughter and the exposure of his long-standing affair with John revealed his incompetence, which had been previously overshadowed by his skilled facade of capability. It became evident that his only real talent was pretending. His true incompetence came to light, dispelling any illusions of his capability. His reputation was irreversibly tarnished, leading to universal disdain from colleagues and clients alike. Despite attempts to remain inconspicuous, the workplace became too hostile, and he was forced to resign. He now resides in a modest apartment with John, occasionally reaching out for assistance, but our relationship has dissolved into mere acquaintanceship marked by disdain. I have no inclination to help. In another incident, John damaged my mother's bridal trousseau. Upon demanding compensation, they complied, likely using my father's severance or savings, perhaps even accruing debt. However, their financial situation is of no concern to me. I have severed ties, making it clear that their choices are theirs alone. I am now legally adopted by my grandfather, which hasn't changed much apart from our legal relationship. As I prepare to study abroad during high school, I reflect on my mother's foresight in ensuring I wouldn't face language barriers, equipping me to be resilient wherever life takes me. I am poised to embrace a future that meets and exceeds my mother's hopes, eager to absorb diverse experiences abroad, and meet someone who truly loves me. This in a way has been the lesson my mother's own story has taught me. As I say this, the mother in the photograph seems to smile sheepishly.
After listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. **